Karsch and Anderson here on a Monday. Champ and Chump, get your votes in. Let's get right back to your phone calls. We go to Jay in White Lake. You're on 97.1 A Ticket. Hi, Jay.
Hey, fellas. How are you today?
We're great. Thank you.
Good. So this whole quarterback thing, I think, well, first off, I think it's time we shut the doors on this whole Hendon Hooker project. In my opinion, the easiest way around this is we get Cleveland on speed dial and we give them a call and we say, give us Kenny Pickett. I think that people underestimate the importance of that backup QB role. One thing happens to Goff. Game 2, he goes down, he stands up, he's got a broken finger. We're done right now if that happens with what we've got.
Well, but we haven't. But to Doug's point, we haven't seen what we've got. You don't know what you've got unless you play the guy with the ones, and you're not going to see that unless you're at practice.
So you don't think that the fact that they've treated Hendon Hooker the way they've been treating him so far, that's not a testament to kind of what they really think of him?
Well, I don't know how they treat him, but because they went and got Teddy Bridgewater a couple years ago or last year, whatever it was. Is that the reason?
Well, I guess in my mind, if they thought that this guy was the man that they think he is, they would have started him the other night, or they would have at least given him more time on the field. I know they're starting him on Friday. I haven't seen anything yet from the organization that they're getting all bricked up and chesty about the fact that they think Hendon Hooker's a really great product. And
Jay, I guess if the premise is that he's not, if he's not good, Kenny Pickett would be a great possibility. I think Skylar Thompson would be. Call Pittsburgh about Skylar Thompson. We're talking about guys who started and played games that are probably number 3 elsewhere. Would you give up a future draft pick for one of those players? And I would.
I would too.
And they have a better idea of what Hendon Hooker is than Jay in White Lake or Doug here in studio or Scott.
I get that.
They may have made those calls already. They may not have. I have not seen enough to write off Hendon Hooker, but there isn't overwhelming public evidence that Hendon Hooker is a backup quarterback that can indeed win you a bunch of games if Goff goes down. We haven't seen it yet. I'm not closing the door on it. I think seeing him with the ones is pretty important. Out of everything that's happened since Hendon Hooker's been a Detroit Lion, the most telltale sign is the Teddy Bridgewater signing and playing in the postseason last year.
Absolutely, and I guess that's what I meant when I said I felt like it was kind of a testament to their view on Hendon Hooker that happened to begin with, but I agree. We haven't seen what we haven't seen. That's the intangible, but I don't know. I guess I would try and hedge my bet.
Well, I would say this, Jay. Even though I'm a big Hendon Hooker guy, I've taken myself out of the equation at this point. It's all Brad. Let Brad Holmes do his thing. I don't. It's not that I don't care, because I want to see for my own personal satisfaction what he would look like if given the opportunity to play with, a starting unit and see how he can work with that. But you're not going to get that opportunity unless there's an injury, and Lord knows I'm not wishing an injury on this team to get there. And we're probably not going to see it in preseason either, because the Lions aren't going to operate that way. Where hey, you know what? Let's throw the first unit out there with Hendon Hooker in preseason game number 3, because it just doesn't seem like the starters are even going to play much in the preseason.
Remember this. Chances are, if the Lions are trading for a backup quarterback, it's probably somebody else's number 3. Now, unless there's a team that is just, we're not really trying to win this year. Backup quarterback is a valuable insurance policy. It matters. And so teams aren't going to want to give up their backup quarterback, because then they'll be looking for one. So who's got 3 quarterbacks? So Kenny Pickett might be an example of a team that's not very good, doesn't need a veteran, because they've got Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and so they probably are going to want to hang on to the young guys. And Pickett is a spare part potentially there. Could make sense. In Pittsburgh, I mentioned Skylar Thompson. Could be the spare part quarterback that they'd be willing to give up. I mean, hell, maybe they give up Mason Rudolph. I doubt it, but and none of these guys instill a ton of confidence, but are they better than what the Lions have in-house? They very well could be. But it would be great to have a more more confidence in the backup quarterback. I'm still not slamming the door on Hendon Hooker, though. Or Kyle Allen, for that matter. I mean, Kyle Allen, I would say that you can make the argument that both of their two best passes were dropped.
Yep.
Allen threaded the needle on that slant to Lovett. Hendon Hooker hit Lovett on the deep ball, and both of them were very catchable. And it's funny because people still like Lovett.
Right. But again, I mean, if you're down on Hooker, he threw 6 passes. In a game that looked like everybody's going through the motions, let's just end this thing and go home.
Yeah, but we're judging it off the preseason game. These coaches are judging off practice
Exactly.
and reps.
They can see.
Yeah, they know who's ready and who's not ready.
Which is why I say at this point, I'm out. I'm removing myself from the equation of trying not to care about the backup quarterback role. Look, Hendon Hooker's been in camp now for a couple of years where he's actually been able to participate in practices. Okay, they'll know. They'll know. And if it means that they're going to be the backup quarterback, so be it when all is said and done. But I don't think they're going to make a rash decision today or next week at this time. I think it's going to take, the full preseason before they go ahead and make that determination.
Morton on a cell. You're next on 97.1. Hi, Morton.
How you guys doing today?
Okay.
All right, Mort.
Go ahead. Okay, Morton, I don't think this is going to work. We'll try and get you in a better cell. We go to Jeff and Ipsy. You're next on 97.1 A Ticket. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
All right.
Good. About the backup quarterback situation, I'm just a fan. You guys have all the statistics and whatever. How many NFL teams actually have a real good backup quarterback? I mean, if he were good, wouldn't they be shopping themselves around to get a shot with a crummy team or something?
Atlanta's got a great situation because they've turned things over to their young quarterback, Michael Penix, and yet they've got Kirk Cousins.
True. There's a perfect example. But I think we're in the same boat as the majority of NFL teams, wouldn't you say?
Yes,
we don't want to lose our starter.
Nobody wants to lose their starter. Very few teams have great backup situations. I would say that this is starting to appear like it's potentially one of the worst situations in the league. But and so nobody's got a great backup quarterback. The question is, do you have a backup quarterback that if you're winning 17-14 early in the third quarter and your quarterback goes down, can the guy you put in there milk the lead and win the game?
Very good point.
And so you don't need to be great to do that.
Right. And you're right. I was kind of horrified by what I saw Thursday, even though it was just an exhibition game. One quick question. Back in the Stafford era, we had a backup with his name Sean something.
Sean Hill.
He was good.
Yep.
He was a good bona fide NFL quarterback, and that's the only good backup I can recall.
Yeah, and he didn't have to play that much, thankfully.
No, but when he did a good job. I remember it. So, well, thanks for your time, fellas.
Appreciate it. Yeah, the Sean Hill situation, that was unusually healthy. Because Sean Hill was better than a guy that could just hold the lead and not make the major mistake.
It's funny. I'm just going through. I'm about halfway through the league here to check and see the depth chart of the quarterbacks. There's not much. And anybody that's like a third-string quarterback or fourth-string quarterback, if you look at them, they're all just college guys. They're college guys that had a nice college career, but you have no idea. It's just like Hendon Hooker. You just don't know.
I like a guy who's not on a roster right now, Gator, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So, I mean, I'm surprised Kansas City didn't bring him back, but he's a guy who's out there. He has been a starter in this league. He's played a lot of snaps. He had an MVP-type year, the year they won it, and he got hurt, and Nick Foles had to step in. I'd be a solid guy to bring in if it doesn't work out with what we have here.
Now they got Minshew Mania still there backing up in Kansas City. So
248-539-9797. Let's go to Martin. You're next. Hi, Martin.
How you guys doing today?
What's up?
Yeah, when you guys were talking earlier about the Tigers, whether they should make a trade or not, and they were thinking about giving up that prospect, or they would have to give up like a prospect like that Max pitcher. It reminded me of back in 1987 when the Detroit Tigers made a trade for Doyle Alexander. They gave up John Smoltz. Now, in the short term, that was a beautiful trade because Doyle Alexander went 9-0 in 1987. But, yeah, we didn't win a World Series. But look at the career of John Smoltz. So sometimes you think us as fans, we'd love to see a championship, and sometimes you want to see that great trade made, but to build for longevity and sustainability, you sometimes wonder if it's just better off just holding on to these great prospects. And we all regret that John Smoltz trade when we look back at it.
Well, I don't think that anybody regretted it at the time, given that Smoltz wasn't one of their top prospects, and Doyle Alexander, as you said, was like perfect down the stretch. Was really good the next year and helped the Tigers get to the playoffs back when only 2 teams in each league made the playoffs.
You know, you think back, and every town has that guy they got rid of when they were young before they blossomed.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, they probably talk about trading Brett Favre, right? And in Detroit, we talk about trading John Smoltz, and guys that go on to have Hall of Fame careers somewhere else that we got rid of before anybody knew they were Hall of Famers. That's the risk you run. I mean, if you want to say, hey, it's smart to not trade all your guys, you can cite that as an example, and you can cite that Dave Dombrowski sold out to win now for a decade in Detroit and never won a World Series. But there's also plenty of examples of teams that made the over-the-top move, because Dombrowski did it elsewhere, where he made an over-the-top move and won. He's won a couple of World Series elsewhere. So you just got to get it right. You got to make, at the end of your era, you hope you have a championship. When you're in Scott Harris's shoes, I'm not giving up on this season. And this isn't the only season he's planning on being the man in charge of baseball operations here in Detroit. And so in his eyes, he's going to get multiple kicks at the can. And what he made clear when he spoke to the media post-trade deadline is he does not think the window shuts when Tarek Skubal's contract is up. Because there's no saying he's leaving. And even if he does, he still thinks he can win. And I actually prefer that he thinks he can win. 248-539-9797. It's Karsch and Anderson, 97.1 The Ticket.